On this edition of Seahawks Today, we have the latest on DK Metcalf amid the trade buzz that did not happen. We'll explain. Also, Abraham Lucas, an injury update on what's going on with the Seahawks starting right tackle, and a couple of notable roster moves for your Seattle Seahawks. We'll explain everything and more in just a matter of moments. Before we do, if you believe this Seattle Seahawks team will win the NFC West, do you believe? Like today's video. I need to see at least 500 likes. They're in first place. Like the video. For whatever reason, if you don't think the Seahawks are going to win the division, comment and tell me why, and we'll get started with today's show. He's still here, despite speculation. Wide receiver DK Metcalf was not traded on Tuesday's trade deadline, which, if you have a functioning brain, should not be a surprise. Although there were some delusional Seahawk fans over the last week or so that were throwing this out there, that there was a rift of sorts, that it was time to move on from DK. And here's the deal. Bottom line is this. This isn't Madden, folks. It was delusional on the part of some of these fans and blogger boys and keyboard warriors to ever think it was time to move on from DK Metcalf. The truth of the matter is this. He is just far too important for this Seahawks team. I know you may be frustrated with some of these penalties and some of the maybe character question marks, if you even want to call it that. But I think there's a whole lot more good than bad when it comes to DK Metcalf. Think about this. Who's been leading the Seahawks in receiving in 2023, in 2022, and in 2020? DK Metcalf, okay? Sure, he's been called for 5 penalties in the last 6 games. It hasn't been pleasant. Nobody is denying that. But he's still him. He's still DK Metcalf. Returned from the injuries. DK's still my guy. I'm riding or dying with DK Metcalf no matter what. And the production, where else was it going to go? If DK was gone, I'm not going to sit here and act like Tyler Lockett, JSN, and Jake Bobo were going to be able to pick up as much of the workload that DK Metcalf requires. 400 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, 15 yards of reception. DK's playing very well statistically this year, par for the course of what he's done his whole career at this point. Here's the thing. 2 things to look at. Number 1, it would have been dumb and financially irresponsible to trade DK Metcalf. Does he have some growing up to do? That's true. 2 things can be true in this situation here. But it wasn't going to happen. DK wasn't going anywhere. He shouldn't go anywhere. I don't care if he unfollowed the Seahawks on social media or anything like that, like some people are talking about. He's still our guy. We're riding or dying with DK, and I'm glad that he's going to be here for a long time. Should the Seahawks have traded DK Metcalf? What do you guys think? Our pinned comment today. N for no, HN for hell no. You know the correct answer here. Spam the HN for hell no, and we'll get to Abraham Lucas next. Abe Lucas, according to Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll, will not quite be ready to return to the Seahawks lineup this week against the Baltimore Ravens. There was a hope that he would make that return sometime in the last couple of weeks after his time on the IR/PUP list came to a close, but he's still just not there yet. He's been out since week 1 with that knee injury, still dealing with some discomfort. He received an injection in his knee in lieu of surgery. That's the route they decided to go. And according to Pete Carroll, there's still steps that need to be made before a return to the football field can happen. So not quite there yet with Abraham Lucas with this discomfort to his knee at this point in time. And so the Seahawks will have to continue with their rotation of other guys that have stepped up to fill the void. More on that and the Seahawks O-line situation in a moment. But first, today's show sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. If you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, you can play along with me as it's real simple. You choose 2 or more players, and you get the choice of more or less on any given category for a selected player. This week, I'm going with Dak to have less than 253.5 passing yards against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I got Josh Allen to have less than 270 passing yards against the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's say I put $20 down on this. If it hits, I'm making $60 on this. Play along with me at home with PrizePicks. Check it out. Get that $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS to play along today. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Now, the good news for the Seahawks on the offensive line, even though Abraham Lucas isn't quite ready to come back yet, Phil Haynes is expected to return this week. And that's a step in the right direction for this Seahawks group on the offensive line. We will see the Seahawks the healthiest they have been on the O-line, collectively speaking, since week one. We've seen a lot of different guys and rotations and such, and they've put Band-Aids on situations and just made it work. But now here we are with a huge step in the right direction this week. Here's what the lineup should be come Sunday. Charles Cross on one side, Stone Forsythe on the other, with Damian Lewis and Anthony Bradford in your guard spots, Evan Brown at the center position, and Olu Oluwatimi getting some playing time. But it's huge for the Seahawks team to be where they're at right now. And the way I look at it, with everything that this team has endured, with the injuries and everything, we've kind of weathered the storm at this point, right? When everything went to, pardon my French, when everything went to shit after week one, with the injuries that happened with Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, all of us were sitting here saying to ourselves, oh no, what are we going to do? Because the offensive line played horrible in that second half against the Rams without Cross and Lucas. But ever since then, they've made it work, and they've held their own. They've done a really good job. Now there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Things are looking upward from here. What's your confidence level in the Seahawks offensive line? I'm feeling pretty good right now. It's going to get better from here, folks. Scale it for me in the comment section, 1 through 10. I'm putting the O-line, I give about an 8 personally for my confidence level. What's your confidence level? Chime in that comment section, let us know. For more Seahawks coverage each and every day, subscribe now for free to Seahawks Today by Chat Sports as we bring you daily content like no one else is doing on the internet. We've been live for 4 straight days on the channel with our Watch Party Sunday, with the trade for Leonard Williams that went down Monday. Tuesday, we covered the trade deadline. Wednesday, had our live show as well. If you aren't a part of the family, what are you waiting for? You need to subscribe to Seahawks Today. Best part about it is it's free. Does not cost you a thing. Don't miss out on the best Seahawks coverage each and every day on the channel. We're going to be live again this upcoming Sunday for the Seahawks matchup against the Ravens. We'll see you then. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Couple notable roster updates for the Seahawks heading into this weekend's matchup with the Baltimore Ravens. Let's catch up to speed on everything that's gone down with Seattle. We begin with Cody Thompson as he was waived from the active roster, and we've seen him kind of bounce back and forth between the active roster and the practice squad. Not a big surprise there. Leonard Williams, officially the trade is complete. Physicals are passed. He is on the active roster. He is good to go and is expected to play as early as this weekend for this Seahawks team. Jonathan Sutherland signed to the practice squad. He was a standout for much of training camp and in the preseason. The UDFA out of Penn State showed a lot of flashes. We'll see if he gets his chance potentially to get on the active roster at some point. Carl Davis was released from the practice squad, but may not be the last time we hear his name in Seattle, as he's been a guy that's gone back and forth, as has SaRodorick Thompson, who was ultimately released from the practice squad for now. He was elevated, remember, to the active roster at one point just a couple of weeks ago. Joey Hunt is back on the practice squad for the time being. And then Greg Elan was released from the practice squad. He's another one that's kind of bounced back and forth. As the Seahawks head into the second half of the season, with where this roster is at, I got to tell you, this is the most confident I have felt in this Seahawks team all year long. Not just because they have a 5-2 record, but with how complete they look. The big glaring weakness on this team that we talked about for months on end was getting somebody to plug inside and to really hold things down in the interior. And they got that with Leonard Williams now. And with he and Jaron Reed together, there's a lot of opportunities to get creative here. And this group's going to be really tested down the stretch. This game against Baltimore is not going to be easy coming up this Sunday against one of the best teams in the AFC. The Commanders, Sam Howell, he can play well on any given week. The Rams, you already lost to once before. The Niners, we know are good. Thanksgiving night. Cowboys are a good football team. That's a road game. Niners again. You played the team with the best record in the NFL, the defending NFC champion Eagles after that. And then the final stretch of games look pretty good for the Seahawks. Should all be very winnable in Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Arizona. It's time to, get your popcorn ready. Put up or shut up time for this Seahawks team over these next few weeks, and we're going to really find out what this roster is made of. What do you think of this roster for the Seahawks? How would you grade it? A, B, C, D, or F? Chat in that comment section and let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this edition of Seahawks Today, hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it, and we want to hear from all of you showing your support for the Seahawks and your belief that they'll come away with that division title. We'll see you next time here on the channel. Thanks for joining us.